The electric guitar didn't just change music, it changed everything. It wasn't just louder, it was a revolution. The first time I heard an electric guitar, I remember exactly where I was. It was the intro riff to Metallica's Fuel. I was barely 10 and it hit like a ton of bricks. That day, something shifted inside me. I've always felt that the electric guitar isn't just an instrument, it's a force. For decades, the guitar wasn't just played, it was felt. It turned blues into rock, rock into rebellion, and rebellion into anthems. It gave a voice to the restless, the furious, and those who never quite fit in. This video is a love letter to the instrument that made me and countless others fall in love with music. This is the story of how the electric guitar reshaped music, nearly disappeared, and how its return is just inevitable. Chapter 1. The Spark. Before the electric guitar, music had limits. In a noisy bar or in a multiplayer band, an acoustic guitar was just another sound in the background, struggling to be heard. It was either an accompaniment or a solo instrument, but never the backbone of the band. But in the 1930s, everything changed. George Beauchamp and Adolf Rickenbacker created the first electric guitars. In 1931, they released the first commercially successful model, nicknamed the frying pan for its weird shape, and suddenly, music could roar. Les Paul refined it, Leo Fender perfected it, and by the 1950s, rock and roll exploded. Chuck Berry, Buddy Holly, and Little Richard weren't just playing music, they were setting the world on fire. And the electric guitar unleashed a sound that the world just hadn't heard before. 6 strings, loud amps, and a new way of playing that just felt alive. And parents, they hated it. It was the first time that music sounded completely alien to the older generation. The electric guitar wasn't just loud, it was dangerous. It was rebellion. Chapter 2. The guitar becomes a movement. By the 1960s, the electric guitar wasn't just an instrument. It was a revolution in 6 strings. Jimi Hendrix didn't play the guitar. He made it speak. Distortion, feedback, raw emotion. He turned noise into poetry. When he set his guitar on fire in Monterey, it wasn't just a gimmick. It was ritual. The British invasion brought the Beatles, the Who, the Stones, bands that made the guitar the center of everything. Every teenager wanted one, and the more the world pushed back, the louder the music got. Then came the 70s. Hard rock and metal took over. Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple. Guitarists weren't just musicians, they were gods. The electric guitar became an identity. Long hair, a Les Paul, and an amp cranked to 11. You knew exactly what someone stood for even before they played a note. Chapter 3. When the electric guitar ruled the world. The 80s were the golden age. If you played guitar back then you lived through something I wish I had. Van Halen's tapping, Randy Rhoads' shredding, Slash making blues rock sound like danger, freedom, rebellion. Guitar heroes were everywhere. Kids saved up for Stratocasters. Every band had a solo, and MTV made sure that every solo looked legendary. But for me personally, nothing in that period hit harder than thrash metal. It wasn't just music, it was a war zone. The sheer speed, aggression, and precision made every other genre sound slow by comparison. It wasn't just about playing fast, it was about releasing pure, unfiltered rage through the guitar. It was the sound of rebellion, sharpened to a fine edge. Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax, Testament, Exodus, Overkill, the list goes on and on. The metal that was forged in the fire of the underground of the 1980s made the blueprint for all the metal that exists today. But while things were good, something was changing. Music was becoming a business. Labels churned out formulaic hair metal. Rock's rebellion became an act in the mainstream. And then the 90s came, and one kid from Seattle rewrote the rules. Kurt Cobain, like Johnny Rotten before him, didn't care about perfection. Nirvana's Nevermind slammed the door on flashy guitar solos and brought the electric guitar back to its rawest form. Loud, messy, emotional. And grunge killed hair metal overnight. Alternative rock took over. Guitar wasn't about skill anymore, it was about feeling. And man, did the 90s give us some feels. The grunge movement on one side, then Oasis and Blur on the other. New metal experimentation with legends like Korn and Deftones. Industrial rock giants like Nine Inch Nails. Dance floor inducing metal like Rammstein. And to a degree, The Prodigy. Left wheel madness with greats like Faith No More and Mr. Bungle. Revolutionaries like Tool and Rage Against the Machine. Punk punk revivalists Green Day and angular wizards like Radiohead, where the 1980s were about mastering the technicality of the instrument. The 90s was all about breaking the barriers of what the electric guitar could sound like and pushing the sound of the electric guitar to its limits. The electric guitar wasn't just changing, it was evolving. Chapter 4. The fall, when the electric guitar went out of fashion. We enter the 2000s. The electric guitar is still there, but something feels off. With bands like Incubus, new wave of American heavy metal giants like Lamb of God, and metal pioneers Meshuggah, the noughties weren't that bad for the guitar, but the mainstream wasn't dominated by the electric guitar. And while the underground wasn't still the underground, Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, Metallica, all these big rock bands were selling out stadiums. There was a shift, and this is where the first mainstream bifurcation happened. The electric guitar was not mainstream, and if you were mainstream, the electric guitar was not a part of your sound. You were either in the underground scene, which was vibrant and insanely talented, or you were a mainstream artist. Technology changed, digital production took over, rap and electronic music pushed the guitars aside. EDM started really coming in the mainstream. And don't get me wrong, I am a huge synth nerd. In fact, my act, Fuzz Culture, is primarily an electronica act, just with a healthy dose of guitars thrown in. But the guitar during this time period was firmly pushed in the outsider category, or in the safe, cookie-cutter, record label, mainstream rock category. Rock got safer and cleaner. With the advent of the internet, Napster and file sharing, the record industry was already adrift, and the record labels wanted nothing to do with bands. They wanted radio-friendly hits. By the 2010s, bands gave way to solo artists and music producers. And with bedroom production and electronic music, the sound of music could be pushed so much further that the electric guitar, which once was the sound of youth and rebellion, was now considered a relic, a dinosaur, or merely a layer amongst others. And in the 2010s, whether you look at independent music or commercial music, the electric guitar was taken out of the spotlight. To me, it really felt like the decade when every other instrument took its revenge on the electric guitar. Jazz instruments came back. Synthesizers dominated the musical landscape. To be a keyboard player or a bass player was no longer uncool. Even the acoustic guitar and the ukulele made a comeback with massive singer-songwriters. Besides metal, every other genre outright rejected the electric guitar. By 2017, Fender reported that 90% of new guitar players quit within their first year. Guitar sales were down, and rock music was no longer the soundtrack of the youth. In fact, it was firmly the sound of nostalgic dads. Who would have thought? The industry and the audience was moving forward, and the electric guitar, they said, was done. Chapter 5. The Return. But there's a thing about revolutions. They never really die. They just wait for the right moment to come back. Right now, a new wave of artists is proving that electric guitar isn't dead. It's just been underground, waiting to be rediscovered. Bands like Polyphia, Sleep Token, and insane guitar players like Guthrie Govan are bringing excitement and freshness back to the electric guitar and rock scene. YouTubers like Rick Beato, Bradley Hall, Jared Dines have all built massive communities, slowly but surely reigniting the interest in the electric guitar. And the young players, I don't know what shakes they've grown up on, but they are insane. The new breed of electric guitar players on the internet is absolutely insane. And in this age of trashy disposable music, AI images and AI slop, real value, I think, will come from demonstrable skill. The ability to use your hands, to master something through human effort. It won't be about a track generated from a prompt. It'll be about craft, personality, and raw expression. And maybe, just maybe, we're at the beginning of the next phase of the electric guitar. In an age of endless manufactured content, personality and music and skill might once again be the main driving asset. And few instruments have a personality as raw, as riveting, as rebellious, and as untamed as the electric guitar. I think people are searching for something real, something that can't be quantized, auto-tuned, prompted, or polished into submission. The electric guitar isn't just an instrument, it's a symbol of rebellion, of emotion, and human imperfection. And right now, people are waking up to the fact that we need human imperfection more than ever. So if you play the guitar, please don't stop. And if you've ever wanted to learn, I think now is the time to start. Because music might be changing again, and the sound of the next evolution, I hope it includes an electric guitar plugged into an amplifier, turned all the way up, Anyway, I love playing the electric guitar and it's a very integral part of my music. And here's a song that I wrote that I'm quite proud of and I think you might like it. If you like it, please leave a comment and let me know. I'd be honored. Last week I put out a video called Why Society Hates Artists, and it always has. Trust me, it's not as negative as the title makes it sound. It's just a way to make you think. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know and leave a comment. I would love to connect with you.